Stop eating this common vegetable, it weakens your brain and nerves. After 60, many seniors notice more forgetfulness, slower thinking, or even tingling in the hands and feet. While these changes are often blamed on age, doctors warn that one common vegetable quietly makes them worse. This everyday food, found on most dinner tables, can spike blood sugar, inflame nerves, and cloud the brain. Over time, it silently weakens memory, drains energy, and increases the risk of nerve damage. The surprising truth is that avoiding this single vegetable and choosing better alternatives can protect both your brain and nerves, helping you stay sharp, steady, and independent for years longer. If protecting your brain and nerves after 60 matters to you, subscribe now for more trusted health insights. Share this video with family and friends so they can avoid this hidden danger too. Small food choices today can prevent big health struggles tomorrow and keep independence stronger for longer. White potatoes and nerve weakness for generations. White potatoes have been considered a comfort food. They appear on dinner tables baked, mashed, or fried, and for many, they symbolize warmth and tradition. Yet, for seniors after 60, doctors now caution that these same potatoes may quietly be doing harm to the brain and nerves. While they provide energy, the way that energy is released can strain the body. High in fast-digesting starches, white potatoes act almost like sugar in the body, leading to spikes in blood sugar levels that harm nerves, damage blood vessels, and cloud the brain. When a potato is eaten, whether as mashed potatoes, fries, or even boiled, its starches are rapidly converted into glucose. This is because white potatoes have a high glycemic index, meaning they are digested quickly and absorbed into the bloodstream at a fast pace. The immediate result is a sharp increase in blood sugar. For younger people, the body may adjust more easily, but after 60, when insulin sensitivity declines, this surge becomes harder to control. Doctors explain that these repeated spikes put stress on both the brain and the nervous system. Nerves are especially sensitive to fluctuations in blood sugar. They rely on a steady, balanced supply of glucose to function properly. When levels rise too quickly, it causes oxidative stress, a form of damage that inflames nerve tissues and interferes with their signaling. Over time, this can contribute to neuropathy, a condition where nerves become damaged and symptoms such as tingling, numbness, burning sensations, or weakness in the legs and feet develop. Many seniors who eat potatoes daily without realizing the connection often attribute these symptoms to aging nerves, but diet is often part of the hidden cause. The brain is equally affected. The brain uses more glucose than any other organ, but it depends on steady fuel rather than surges. When blood sugar rises sharply after eating potatoes, the brain is flooded with glucose, followed by a crash when insulin lowers it too quickly. This roller coaster leads to brain fog, poor concentration, and fatigue. Doctors warn that over years, these repeated swings increase the risk of memory decline and may worsen conditions such as mild cognitive impairment or dementia. Another problem is that potatoes, despite being filling, provide little in the way of protective nutrients for the nerves. They lack significant amounts of vitamin B12, vitamin E, or omega-3 fatty acids, all of which protect nerve health. Instead, they supply mostly starch, which the body treats much like white bread or sugar. This imbalance between energy and protection leaves seniors vulnerable. Energy may come quickly after eating potatoes, but it fades just as fast, leaving the body and brain drained. Scientific studies confirm this. Research on diets high in high glycemic foods such as white potatoes shows greater risks of type 2 diabetes, obesity, and nerve damage. In seniors, where natural resilience is lower, these risks multiply. Doctors note that seniors with diabetes or prediabetes are especially at risk, since their blood sugar control is already impaired. For them, potatoes can accelerate nerve damage, worsen neuropathy, and reduce mobility. Circulation also plays a role. Spikes in blood sugar caused by potatoes damage the tiny blood vessels that supply oxygen and nutrients to the nerves. Without strong circulation, nerves cannot repair themselves, and the damage worsens. Seniors may notice that wounds heal more slowly, feet feel colder, or hands tingle more often. These are signs that circulation is weakening, a direct consequence of both aging and repeated strain from high glycemic foods like potatoes. It is important to note that not all potato dishes are equal. The way potatoes are cooked changes their effect. Mashed potatoes, fries, and potato chips raise blood sugar the fastest because their starches are broken down and absorbed quickly. Even boiled or baked potatoes, though slightly gentler, still rank high on the glycemic index. Doctors emphasize that the difference is only in degree, not in nature. Potatoes in nearly every form are risky for seniors trying to protect their nerves and brain. Some may argue that potatoes contain potassium and vitamin C, which are beneficial. While this is true, the benefits are outweighed by the harm when eaten frequently or in large portions. Seniors can easily obtain potassium and vitamin C from other foods, such as leafy greens, beans, or citrus fruits, without exposing themselves to the nerve-damaging effects of potato starch. This is why doctors advise reducing or avoiding white potatoes, particularly when better alternatives are available. Daily life examples make this clearer. A senior might enjoy mashed potatoes at dinner most nights, feeling full at first but noticing brain fog or heaviness afterward. Another may snack on potato chips and later feel tingling in the feet or unexplained fatigue. These patterns are not random, they reflect the way potatoes affect blood sugar and nerves. Many seniors describe these symptoms as just getting older, but doctors point out that dietary choices often accelerate them unnecessarily. The cultural attachment to potatoes is strong, and they are part of many traditional meals. But doctors remind seniors that longevity and independence often require adjusting habits. Limiting potatoes or replacing them with healthier options can protect nerves and preserve brain clarity. This does not mean never eating potatoes again, but rather recognizing that frequent use, especially daily, increases risks for nerve weakness and brain decline. In conclusion, white potatoes, though familiar and comforting, are not the friend they once seemed, especially after 60. Their high starch content spikes blood sugar, inflames nerves, clouds the brain, and damages circulation. While they provide short-term energy, they leave long-term harm in their wake. Doctors warn that for seniors who want to protect memory, preserve nerve function, and stay strong, reducing or avoiding white potatoes is a critical step. Choosing better alternatives ensures the body receives not just energy, but the kind of nourishment that supports resilience and longevity. The brain fog connection. One of the most frustrating changes many seniors notice after 60 is a decline in mental clarity. Forgetting names, misplacing objects, struggling to focus on conversations, or feeling like the mind is slower than before are common concerns. While these changes are often blamed on age, doctors are increasingly pointing to diet, and specifically to foods like white potatoes, as a hidden contributor. Potatoes, especially in their most popular forms such as fries, chips, or mashed potatoes, can cause sudden glucose surges followed by crashes. These swings directly affect the brain, leading to fatigue, brain fog, and memory problems. The brain is unique because it consumes more glucose than any other organ. Nearly 20% of the body's energy goes to powering neurons, the cells that send signals and store memory. But the brain does not function well on unstable fuel. Just like a car engine sputters when flooded with too much fuel at once, the brain struggles when hit with rapid surges of glucose. White potatoes, with their high glycemic index, deliver just such a surge. Blood sugar spikes quickly, flooding the brain, and within a short time insulin lowers it, leaving the brain underfueled. This roller coaster causes seniors to feel foggy, tired, or unable to think clearly. Doctors explain that over time, these repeated cycles damage more than daily concentration. They also strain the brain's long-term resilience. Constant glucose spikes increase oxidative stress and inflammation in the brain, processes that slowly wear down neurons. This damage is subtle at first but accumulates, increasing the risk of cognitive decline, dementia, or Alzheimer's disease. For seniors who want to preserve independence, memory, and sharpness, avoiding foods that trigger these cycles, like potatoes, becomes critical. Brain fog from potatoes is not only about memory. Seniors often describe difficulty concentrating on tasks, slower reaction times, or feeling mentally drained after meals heavy in potato-based dishes. Some even notice emotional changes, such as irritability, anxiety, or sadness, following potato consumption. Doctors attribute this to the way blood sugar instability affects neurotransmitters, the chemicals that regulate mood. Serotonin and dopamine levels fluctuate with glucose swings, leaving seniors vulnerable to emotional ups and downs. Consider common meals, a plate of mashed potatoes with gravy, or a serving of rice with lunch. Both cause a rapid rise in blood sugar, followed by a crash an hour or two later. During the spike, seniors may feel briefly energized or alert. But as the crash arrives, fatigue, brain fog, or irritability take over. Over years, repeating this cycle with daily meals accelerates mental fatigue and weakens overall cognitive function. Scientific evidence supports this link. Studies have shown that diets high in high glycemic foods, including white potatoes, are associated with faster rates of memory decline in older adults. Brain scans of those who frequently consume such foods often reveal reduced activity in memory centers such as the hippocampus. Doctors highlight this as a warning. What may feel like harmless indulgence is, in fact, reshaping how the brain functions. Beyond memory, this brain fog also undermines confidence. Seniors who notice frequent lapses or slow thinking may withdraw from social interactions, avoid activities they once enjoyed, or lose interest in hobbies. This isolation only worsens mental decline, creating a cycle where both diet and lifestyle erode independence. By addressing potato consumption, seniors can help break this cycle and regain both clarity and confidence. It is worth noting that potatoes affect the brain more strongly when paired with unhealthy cooking methods. Fried potatoes, chips, and heavily buttered mashed potatoes deliver not only fast-digesting starch but also unhealthy fats. These fats increase inflammation, further damaging neurons and blood vessels in the brain. Doctors emphasize that this combination, starch and unhealthy fat, is particularly harmful for older adults. It accelerates memory decline and reduces the brain's ability to repair itself. Some seniors may argue that potatoes have always been part of their diet and question why problems arise later in life. The answer lies in changes that occur with aging. After 60, insulin sensitivity decreases, meaning the body cannot regulate blood sugar as effectively. The brain also becomes more vulnerable to oxidative stress and inflammation. What may have been tolerated in youth becomes harmful with age. Doctors reassure seniors that it is never too late to make adjustments. Even reducing potato intake now can improve mental clarity within weeks and slow long-term decline. In practical terms, seniors who reduce potatoes often notice lighter digestion, more stable energy, and improved concentration. They describe feeling less foggy after meals and having more consistent alertness throughout the day. These changes may seem small, but they add up to better daily functioning and greater independence. Doctors stress that protecting brain health does not always require medication or complicated treatments. Sometimes it begins with avoiding one common food that quietly disrupts mental clarity. In conclusion, the connection between potatoes and brain fog is real and significant. Their fast-digesting starch causes glucose surges and crashes that cloud the brain, weaken memory, and destabilize mood. Over time, these effects increase the risk of serious cognitive decline. For seniors after 60, who rely on mental clarity for independence, this is a risk too great to ignore. Doctors recommend reducing or avoiding white potatoes to preserve both daily sharpness and long-term brain health. By choosing better alternatives, seniors can protect memory, improve focus, and keep their minds clear and strong well into later years. Impact on nerve pain and neuropathy. For many seniors, one of the most troubling health issues after 60 is nerve pain. Tingling in the feet, burning sensations in the hands, or a constant feeling of numbness in the legs can make walking difficult and reduce quality of life. Doctors often diagnose these symptoms as neuropathy, damage to the nerves that carry signals between the brain, spine, and the rest of the body. While aging, diabetes, and circulation problems are major contributors, diet plays an overlooked role. One of the hidden dietary triggers that worsens neuropathy is frequent consumption of white potatoes. The reason lies in how potatoes affect blood sugar and inflammation. White potatoes are high in starch that converts quickly to glucose. Each time blood sugar spikes, tiny blood vessels that nourish the nerves become damaged. Without a steady blood supply, nerves begin to malfunction, sending signals that feel like burning, tingling, or stabbing pain. Doctors explain that for seniors, whose circulation is already weaker, repeated blood sugar surges from foods like potatoes accelerate this damage. Over time, the nerves in the feet and hands, the farthest points from the heart, suffer the most. These are the areas where seniors often first notice symptoms: numbness in the toes, pins and needles in the feet, or weakness in the grip. Because these signs develop gradually, many seniors attribute them to just aging. But in reality, foods like potatoes that disrupt blood sugar may be quietly worsening the condition every day. Inflammation is another critical factor. When blood sugar rises too quickly, the body produces inflammatory chemicals to cope with the stress. These chemicals irritate nerve tissues, making them more sensitive to pain. This explains why seniors with neuropathy often feel heightened discomfort after potato-heavy meals. Fries, chips, or mashed potatoes not only trigger inflammation but also add unhealthy fats when fried or processed, doubling the strain on the nervous system. Scientific studies support this link. Research has shown that people with diets high in high glycemic foods, including white potatoes, experience greater progression of neuropathy symptoms. They report more frequent pain, reduced sensation, and slower healing of nerve-related injuries. For seniors with diabetes or prediabetes, the risks are even higher. Doctors warn that in these cases, regular potato consumption can speed up nerve damage and increase the likelihood of serious complications, including ulcers and infections in the feet. The brain also suffers when nerves are damaged. Neuropathy is not only about pain, it disrupts communication between the brain and body. This miscommunication leads to slower reflexes, poor balance, and a greater risk of falls. Seniors with nerve damage may feel uncertain when walking, especially in dim light or uneven terrain. Doctors highlight that these risks can rob seniors of independence, making it harder to move freely or safely. Potatoes, by worsening the underlying blood sugar and inflammation, contribute quietly to this decline. Practical examples show how this unfolds in daily life. A senior might enjoy a plate of fries or chips in the evening and later notice a tingling or burning sensation in the feet that disturbs sleep. Another may eat mashed potatoes with dinner and feel heaviness or numbness in the legs afterward. These patterns are often dismissed as coincidence, but they reflect how quickly nerves respond to dietary triggers. Over months and years, the cumulative effect leads to chronic neuropathy that is difficult to reverse. Doctors encourage seniors to pay attention to these signals. While neuropathy cannot always be completely cured, its progression can be slowed, and in some cases, symptoms can improve when blood sugar is stabilized. Avoiding high glycemic foods like potatoes is a simple but effective way to protect nerves. Combined with healthy alternatives, this shift reduces inflammation, improves circulation, and allows nerves a better chance to heal. It is important to note that not all seniors will experience neuropathy in the same way. Some may feel sharp, stabbing pain, others may feel dull numbness, still others may notice only clumsiness or poor coordination. Regardless of how it appears, the underlying problem, nerve damage fueled by unstable blood sugar and inflammation, is made worse by potato-heavy diets. Doctors advise seniors to think of potatoes not as harmless staples but as triggers that can quietly worsen nerve pain. In conclusion, neuropathy and nerve pain are not inevitable parts of aging. While age plays a role, diet is a powerful influence. White potatoes, with their fast-digesting starch, contribute to blood sugar spikes, inflammation, and circulation damage that harm nerves. For seniors already struggling with tingling, numbness, or burning in their hands and feet, avoiding potatoes can reduce symptoms and slow progression. Doctors stress that this is a simple change with profound impact. By protecting the nerves, seniors preserve mobility, reduce pain, and maintain independence longer. Recognizing potatoes as a hidden factor in neuropathy is an essential step toward protecting brain and nerve health after 60. Better alternatives for energy and clarity. When doctors warn seniors about the risks of white potatoes, they also remind them that avoiding one food does not mean giving up comfort or nourishment. The body still needs carbohydrates for energy, especially after 60, but it needs them in a form that fuels steadily rather than spiking and crashing. The good news is that there are healthier alternatives that protect the brain and nerves while still satisfying the desire for familiar, hearty meals. One of the best alternatives is sweet potatoes. Unlike white potatoes, sweet potatoes have a lower glycemic index, meaning they raise blood sugar more slowly. They are rich in fiber, which slows digestion and helps release energy gradually. Seniors who eat sweet potatoes often notice fewer energy crashes and more consistent mental clarity. Beyond this, sweet potatoes provide antioxidants like beta-carotene, which protects the brain from oxidative stress, and vitamin A, which supports immune health. Doctors encourage seniors to swap white potatoes for baked or roasted sweet potatoes as an easy, comforting switch that nourishes rather than harms. Legumes such as lentils, chickpeas, and beans are another excellent option. They provide complex carbohydrates, protein, and fiber all in one. Unlike potatoes, which are mostly starch, legumes digest slowly and release energy steadily, reducing strain on blood sugar and nerves. They are also rich in B vitamins, especially folate, which plays a critical role in nerve health and memory. Doctors highlight that seniors who include beans or lentils in their meals often experience more stable energy and fewer nerve-related symptoms. Whole grains such as brown rice, quinoa, or barley also serve as brain and nerve-friendly substitutes. These grains contain magnesium and other minerals that support nerve function and muscle relaxation. They also stabilize blood sugar, preventing the sharp spikes that harm neurons. A bowl of barley soup or quinoa with vegetables can replace potato-based dishes while offering longer-lasting fullness and clearer thinking. For those who miss the creamy texture of mashed potatoes, doctors suggest making mashed cauliflower or mixing cauliflower with a small amount of sweet potato. Cauliflower is low in starch but high in antioxidants and fiber. It offers the same comfort without spiking blood sugar. Seniors who try this alternative often find it surprisingly satisfying, especially when seasoned with herbs and olive oil. Beyond specific swaps, it is important to understand why these alternatives work better. They all share common traits: more fiber, slower digestion, and richer nutrient profiles. Instead of delivering quick, empty starch like white potatoes, they provide balanced fuel that protects both brain and nerves. Doctors emphasize that these foods not only replace potatoes but actively support longevity by strengthening the very systems potatoes weaken. In conclusion, giving up or reducing white potatoes does not mean losing comfort foods. By choosing sweet potatoes, legumes, whole grains, or cauliflower, seniors can enjoy meals that feel familiar but nourish deeply. These alternatives provide steady energy, protect nerves, and preserve mental clarity. For seniors after 60, such swaps are not restrictions but opportunities to eat in ways that strengthen the body, clear the mind, and add years of independence. Practical tips for reducing potato dependence. For many seniors, potatoes are more than food, they are tradition. From mashed potatoes on holidays to fries at family gatherings, they hold comfort and familiarity. That is why doctors emphasize that avoiding or reducing potatoes should not feel like deprivation but rather a gentle adjustment. The goal is not to erase them completely, but to limit their role in daily meals and replace them with healthier options that protect the brain and nerves. With a few practical tips, seniors can make this shift smoothly without feeling like they are losing their favorite foods. The first step is portion control. Instead of filling half the plate with potatoes, try serving a smaller portion alongside vegetables, legumes, or whole grains. Doctors note that even cutting potato servings in half reduces blood sugar spikes significantly. For example, a senior who usually eats a large serving of mashed potatoes at dinner can replace half with roasted vegetables or cauliflower mash. The meal still feels satisfying, but the impact on nerves and brain health is much less. Another tip is changing cooking methods. Fried potatoes, chips, and processed potato products are the most harmful because they combine starch with unhealthy fats. Baking or roasting potatoes with the skin on slows digestion slightly and provides more fiber, though the starch content remains high. Doctors recommend saving potatoes for occasional treats rather than daily staples, and when eaten, choosing boiled or roasted versions over fried. Meal planning is another effective strategy. Instead of centering meals around potatoes, think of them as a side dish rather than the main attraction. A plate can be built around protein, vegetables, and whole grains, with potatoes appearing only occasionally. For seniors who enjoy traditional comfort meals, pairing small amounts of potato with larger servings of beans, greens, or fish helps balance the effect. Substitutions also play a key role. Sweet potatoes, cauliflower, lentils, and quinoa can step in for white potatoes in many recipes. Mashed cauliflower with olive oil provides the same creamy texture as mashed potatoes. Roasted sweet potatoes seasoned with herbs offer the same comfort but with better nutrition. Lentil stews or quinoa salads can replace potato-based sides while delivering more stable energy. Over time, taste buds adjust, and these alternatives become just as satisfying. Finally, mindful eating helps reduce dependence. Seniors often reach for potatoes out of habit rather than hunger. By pausing and asking, "Will this food fuel my body or drain it?" the choice becomes clearer. Doctors encourage seniors to focus on how they feel after meals. Those who cut back on potatoes often notice lighter digestion, clearer thinking, and less nerve discomfort, powerful motivators to continue. In conclusion, reducing potato dependence is not about giving up comfort but about making smart adjustments. Smaller portions, healthier cooking methods, balanced meals, and satisfying alternatives allow seniors to protect their brain and nerves without losing enjoyment. Doctors emphasize that these small steps, repeated daily, create lasting change. After 60, when every choice shapes independence and clarity, reducing reliance on potatoes is one of the simplest and most effective ways to protect health.